From mysterious rings to giant stone heads to literal lost cities, I'm Bob from World 5 List. Join me as I reveal 8 of the weirdest things ever found in the jungle. Number 8. The Amazon Rings. Heading south to the most famous jungle in the world, the Amazon has quite a few interesting things about it, and is home to a lot of strange discoveries. But to begin, we talk about rings. Now, you may think that it's odd for a forest to be associated with rings of any kind, but in certain open areas of the jungle, there are massive ditches that have been dug into the earth, and their scope is pretty impressive. Yet nobody really knows why they're there or what their purpose is. Despite research being done on the rings, there's more questions than there are answers. The first of which, who made them? To which there is absolutely no answer. The consensus is that early tribes that lived in the Amazon jungle made them, but there's no way to confirm it. There's also no way of knowing their exact purpose, and that's fueled a whole lot of speculation, from simple things like being a burial site to being the Nazca lines, and of course, there are some who feel that it's signs of UFOs and aliens. The other big question is how they were able to dig them. The obvious answer is with tools, but the ditches don't really show any signs of being worked on by tools. So if not through those means, then how? Number 7. The Boiling River. Now, just like jungles, rivers are a big part of the world, and just as the Amazon is known for being a jungle, it's also known for being home to a massive river. However, another river actually runs through the Peruvian part of the jungle, and it's famous for being hot. And I'm talking like boiling hot. Like it'll kill you if you even dare set foot in it hot. Now, this isn't a legend or a folktale. It actually exists and has been known to the native people for quite some time. The temperature of the water is a scorching 200 degrees Fahrenheit, which proves how correct I am that you would die if you tried to swim in it. The real interesting thing here, though, is that it isn't a small river. It's actually 82 feet wide and can reach down about 20 feet in some places. Now, to maintain the temperature in that big of a body of water is astounding. In fact, there's really no definitive explanation as to how it happens. The best guess is that part of the river is somehow attached to a geothermal vent, which exudes a lot of heat and thus makes it boil to such a degree. There's also a thought that the boiling water comes from somewhere else and is pooled into the river. Nobody really knows for sure how it happens, but it is pretty strange. And now for number 6, but first, if you're new here, be sure you're subscribed. Click the notification bell so you don't miss out on the latest videos. Question: can you identify this tribe? Let me know your answer in the comments below, and I'll tell you coming up. Number 6. The Stone Spheres of Costa Rica. Scattered throughout the Costa Rica jungle was massive stone spheres. Now, it's true that nature can weather stones so that they do appear round, but this was not the case. In fact, these stones were varying in shapes, and some of them were only a few inches wide, while others could go over 6 feet in length. Those ones could even weigh up to 15 tons. What's even more, these stones were all over the southern part of Costa Rica, proving that they were made by people that were once frequent, numerous, and skilled in sculpting. There's been a lot of study done on the stones, and who can really blame them? And though there's no definitive way of knowing who actually created the stones, they're obviously not around anymore to take credit for their work. So the real question here is, who made them and why? Why were they scattered all over the country, and how did they get these massive stones to such near-perfect spherical shape? There are theories and guesses, but there's nothing concrete. It just all turns out to be another mystery of the jungle. Number 5. A flesh-eating parasite. Sci-fi and fantasy have filled our heads with many terrifying ideas and notions, including things that eat our flesh. But as in all things, the truth is actually stranger than fiction. Another find of the jungle, which I could have put on my list, was the lost city of the monkey god, a true rare find that has astounded all who have gone there. However, some of the explorers who found the city soon also found themselves in danger from a flesh-eating parasite. Now, ironically, this same parasite is said to be the reason that the Aztecs abandoned the city, but the researchers didn't know that up until it was almost too late, for they contracted the virus and had to get immediate medical help. The parasite is rather insidious, and it goes for your nose, then spreads around your face, and your body parts then get eaten from within, leaving you without a face. So thankfully, they were all treated before such a thing could occur. Also, ironically, after the event, the team was beset on by venomous snakes. So between those two incidents, they tucked their tails and ran. Frankly, after surviving a parasite and almost getting my face eaten off and attacked by snakes, I don't really blame them for running away. Number 4, the Stone Head of Guatemala. Now, I just want you to imagine for a moment. You're walking through the jungle. You see the trees, looking out for wildlife and enjoying the experience, when suddenly you see something staring at you. It's not human or an animal. Rather, no, it's a giant stone head. How do you think you would react? Well, the question would be answered in the 1950s when a giant stone head was found in the Guatemalan jungle. Multiple things made it a unique find, not the least of which was its size, because as you can see, it was several cars tall and just as wide. And it was also perfectly sculpted, allowing a very detailed face to be seen as a result. Like many things on my list, there's really no explanation as to who created it or why, and what its real purpose was. During a documentary on the Stonehead, an archaeologist who was a resident of the area did note that no culture of document could have, or would have, made a statue like it. Sadly, the Stonehead no longer exists because it was destroyed by rebels, but its legacy and its legend lives on. Number 3, the zombie fungus. The genus name for this zombie fungus is known as cordyceps, and there are about 400 different versions of it throughout the world, much of them in the jungle. Their main goal, like any good zombie virus, is to spread. But it's how they spread that's the really creepy part. They begin as spores, waiting for a host, and in many cases, that host is an ant. The moment that the ant gets the spore inside of them, it loses control of its body because the fungus takes over. This is where it gets really weird. You see, the fungus is going to force the ant to climb onto a really high part of a tree and then just wait for it to die. That's right, the fungus literally controls the ant and gets to move somewhere just so it can die, and then fall out onto the jungle ground below so it can then infect more insects. Yes, I said insects, because this fungus doesn't just infect ants, they infect other bugs as well. And it's just as terrifying that the species of this fungus can make it so that they can only affect one and not another. So just forget zombie humans ruling the earth, because we may have to worry about zombie insects. And to me, that's way more terrifying and annoying. Number 2, the Sentinelese people. When you think about Earth as a whole nowadays, the phrase, "the map is full," really hits home, because we seemingly know just about every area of the world, as well as who lives there. And yet there were many who were surprised about the Sentinelese people that were found in the jungles of North Sentinel Island, which resides in the Indian Ocean. This tribe of people is actually rather large, and they're known to be the most reclusive tribe in the world. Any attempt to contact them is often met with violence. It doesn't help that these people speak an unknown dialect, so even if we could talk to them, it likely wouldn't go anywhere. However, that's not the only mystery. Despite being only 500 strong at best guess, they're incredibly capable, having survived on the island for a very, very long time. Some even guess up to 60,000 years. They're also in impeccable health, know how to craft tools, and can apparently even work metal in their own way. The biggest mystery, however, is that the 2004 tsunami that devastated that part of the world apparently didn't affect the Sentinelese at all, which is crazy because North Sentinel Island was directly in the path of it. Yet they lived, which we found out after a helicopter would be sent to check on them, and 2 tribesmen promptly made it go away. It just goes to show there are still things in the world to discover. And if you guessed in the picture before that it was the Sentinelese, well, good for you. You get a cookie. Number 1. The City of Giants. During an expedition in 2012, a group of explorers would hire some natives to help them search for a lost city that was claimed to be around the area. And then they found it, and it was huge. Yes, cities are almost always huge, but this was a different scale altogether. The buildings that they found were about 260 feet tall, about the same with the width that was per building, and they were not all together. The size and scope of the city gave it the nickname the City of Giants, which is poetic but also deep in meaning because the intent was meant literally, as further explanation would reveal artifacts and tools that could have only been wielded by beings of a massive size. Even to this day, some people feel that the lost City of Giants proves that the giants did once walk on the earth, which ironically lines up with certain stories told throughout various cultures, including that of David and Goliath. Naturally, most people are skeptical, but there's no explanation as to how and why everything in that city was so large. Thanks for watching. What did you think about these strange things? Let me know all about it in the comments below. Be sure you're subscribed, and I'll see you next time on World 5.